Hey guys, happy Asexuality Awareness Week. Hug your nearest ace. Wish them a happy Asexuality Awareness Week. Just make them feel loved. Anyway, so we started this poetry unit in my creative writing class, my intro to creative writing class. And I'll tell you, I have always been terrible at poetry. I suck at writing it. And that's probably because I've always just never experienced feelings quite as much as poets write about. It's very hard for me to really express myself in the way that poets do. I come at poetry in a very technical way. If it requires syllables, then I'll count the syllables and beats, and I'm much better with meter and rhyme, but at the same time you put them together and it's one giant disaster. I'm actually pretty good with free verse, but at the same time I still feel like I'm really mediocre with free verse because I feel like I say things too obvious. But perhaps that's my inexperience with poetry. Don't get me wrong, I can identify very beautiful poems. I can pretty much figure out the symbolism of a poem. However, you ask me to write it, and that's not something I can do. You hold a gun to my head and say, hey, your life depends on writing this poem. Nope, probably can't do it. Because poetry is something I unfortunately struggle with. And I understand the purpose of writing poems and how important it is for prose writers to be able to write poetry and all of the wonderful tools of rhetoric that employs. However, that's still not something that I'm good at doing. And it hurts me to know that that's not something I'm good at because I'm kind of a perfectionist. So if it's not right, I get very frustrated and it takes me so long to create poems. It's just terribly sad. So I've been struggling the past 2 weeks with poetry, and I think we still have a little bit further to go, which is awful. And then we jump into 10-minute plays, so I'm actually really excited about that because I really wanted to get into playwriting. But unfortunately, I have to pass through the land of poetry first. And granted, there are some poems that I genuinely am really excited to write, but at the same time, I'm not because I am not very good. And I know I shouldn't go into writing poetry thinking that I'm going to do a terrible job because that just affects your entire attitude of the whole thing, but it doesn't change how I feel because even if I go at it seriously, it still turns out terrible. So if you have any tips on writing poetry, or if you just want to share with me your favorite poem, put it down in the comments section and I will take a look and hopefully it will help me or I'll just have another poem to appreciate. Anyway, stay excellent and don't forget to be awesome.